Hello, and welcome to the next in our panel discussions for National Hygiene Week 2021. I am Edgar Panola, and I'm the CEO of the Hygiene Bank. Welcome. Today's panel is looking at how brand organizations and charities can work together to help tackle hygiene poverty. And I have a wonderful and very knowledgeable group of panelists here with us. From Boots, we have the Director of Communications and CSR, Lucy Reynolds. From Hey Girls, we have the CEO and founder, Celia Hodson. From Pura, the Chief Marketing Officer, Amanda Richards. And from Unilever, the Vice President of Beauty and Personal Care, Chris Barron. So welcome to all of you. So just to set the scene, in 2019, we distributed as a charity over 50,000 kilograms of hygiene products, which for such a young charity was amazing. And a lot of that was actually collected from public drop-off points in the likes of coffee shops, local stores, and leisure centers. In 2020, obviously, we had the lockdown of the UK due to the pandemic, and a lot of our drop-off points closed. And the great thing was that, whilst we were able to get some grant funding, which helped buy products to help people in need, the great thing was that brand organizations stepped up and helped our charity and helped those in need. And in 2020, we distributed over 360,000 kilograms of hygiene products with an estimated value of £3.5 million, which was just phenomenal. So really, I wanted to start by asking, how did you get introduced to the Hygiene Bank? How did you provide the support to us, and why? And did our mission resonate with the values of your organization? And if I could start with Lucy, please.
Well, thank you, Edgar, and hello, everybody. Well, first of all, congratulations, Edgar, to you and everybody at the Hygiene Bank. That is a phenomenal amount of product that you have managed to distribute and really make a positive impact on communities up and down the UK, just at a time when they needed the help the most. So thank you and well done for that. So the Boots and Hygiene Bank partnership is actually a really natural partnership, and Edgar, you know this, but I will say that it speaks right to the heart of what we do and have always done at Boots. So the decision to get involved was really quite an easy one. And we try to make decisions as a company based on our sense of purpose and based on our values. And when Jesse Boot established the company over 170 years ago, he did so with a mantra that everybody should have access to soap and a sponge, no matter what their background or where they were from, where they lived. And that is definitely a principle that sits right at the core of Boots today, and I know that is a principle that sits right at the core of the Hygiene Bank as well. So it was very natural for us to join forces, and of course we started working together before the pandemic. Actually, Boots was a sponsor of the Women of the Year Awards a couple of years ago, and Lizzie Hall, the founder of the Hygiene Bank, was one of the winners. And it was the meeting between Boots and Lizzie through that event that the partnership began. So it kind of evolved in actually a very organic way. But as I said, the two causes work very well together. And then obviously over the last year, we have stepped up our involvement in terms of donations and in terms of encouraging our customers to donate as well. So we've got more than 400 Hygiene Bank donation points across our stores in the UK. We're working together with Edgar and the team to try and recruit more volunteers in communities across the UK so we can put more Hygiene Banks in more of our stores. We've got over 2,000 pharmacies and stores, so the potential is definitely there. Some of our store managers have actually, who didn't have a Hygiene Bank drop-off point in their store, have actually now become volunteers for the Hygiene Bank so that we can put a drop-off point in their store as well, which is lovely to see. And then we've worked very closely with our sister company, the Number 7 Beauty Company, to donate products, mainly Soap and Glory products, but Boots own brand products as well, directly from us to the hygiene bank. And then we've added, that's mostly hygiene items, soaps, shower gels, etc. We've now also donated face masks and hand sanitizer as well. Because as we all know, hygiene poverty was already a problem in the UK, and then the pandemic just accelerated that issue at a time when people needed to be hygienic and clean more than ever to protect themselves. So there's this kind of like double whammy that hit families living in poverty over the last year in terms of hygiene. So it's been fantastic to join forces with the Hygiene Bank to really try and make a difference to those communities. And it's a special partnership because when people donate locally, that those donations are then used locally as well, and that is important to lots of people. It's also important to lots of our team members as well, that they can feel like they're making a difference in their local communities as well as on a national level. So hopefully that answers most of your questions, Edgar.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Lucy.
No.
Celia, can we go to you, please?
Sure, and really to echo what Lucy said there, huge congratulations. The fact that we're actually having something called Hygiene Week, that we've got focus going on an issue that, not many people are aware of. So it's really great to be involved in Hygiene Week and this panel today. So Hey Girls, we set up in 2018, not a dissimilar age to Hygiene Bank, and we have one aim, which is to eradicate period poverty in the UK. And it's a very simple business model. So you can purchase Hey Girls products online or in supermarkets or in independent eco stores. So every time somebody purchases exactly the same product, a matched product is donated to someone in the UK in need. So since we've launched in January 2018, we've donated over 17 million period products across the UK, which, is a phenomenal volume of product, as you know, but actually it shows that people are buying Hey Girls products for two reasons. One's because it's a very high quality product, but actually they're buying into the USP. When you do something that you do every month, then why not buy one for somebody in need? Our relationship with the Hygiene Bank, I got an email out of the blue from Lizzie to say, hi, I'm setting this up, what do you think? And I gushed my response saying how fabulous it was, how needed it was, and whatever I could do, then she had my absolute attention. And the Hygiene Bank is one of 200 donation partners that we have across the UK. I think there's donations going out today to Hygiene Bank partners in Gateshead, Merseyside, and I think Kent as well. So our donation partners are the most important part of what we do, because without partners like the Hygiene Bank, we wouldn't be able to get product out to those in need. So they make a request for what they need. There's no point us sending menstrual cups if that's not what the community wants, if they'd rather have tampons or pads or period pants. So it's about working with our partners to say what's useful, and let's get those out to you. I think what's so glorious about, the partnerships, and they're very diverse. So whether it's through food banks or women's projects or shelters or little, breakfast clubs, is that they have their own way of delivering product out. So, we've heard some beautiful stories of the friendly environment that's created through the Hygiene Bank. It's, there's still huge stigma around menstruation and around poverty and not being able to cope and things. So if you've got a friendly face that's handing product out and making sure that's something that works for you and talking to you about what we're donating, that helps to break down some of the stigma and taboos around menstruation. So we really enjoy our partnership and the safe zone that's created by the Hygiene Bank.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Celia. And then also to echo, we had an organisation in London approach us last year looking for 7,000 period products to put into gift bags. And Hey Girls stepped up and provided us, those products, which was amazing last year. Amanda, can we go to you and you can talk about Pura?
Absolutely, yeah. So indeed, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us to Pura to be part of this panel, and fully echo the congratulations. the Hygiene Bank's doing a great job, and we're thrilled to be part of that. So Pura is quite a new brand for those of you listening who haven't heard of us. We're an eco-friendly baby care brand. We launched out of lockdown actually in June 2021 with eco-friendly wipes and nappies. And really, Lucy mentioned access. Our mission is all about democratizing eco. So we really want all parents to have access to high quality, affordable and eco-friendly baby care, and in switching to kind of a more eco-friendly alternative to leave a better legacy for the babies that are born today and the future of the planet that they'll grow up into. So the Hygiene Bank just had a really perfect fit for us, really. If we sort of follow through on that thought of democratizing eco and making eco accessible, then what better way than to really make it accessible to people who genuinely can't afford the baby care products that they so desperately need. We came across the Hygiene Bank because our head of partnerships actually saw a Hygiene Bank donation bin in Boots, in fact, and kind of came back all excited and said, look, this looks like a charity that we should try to support. And shortly after that, Guy, our CEO, and myself, we met with Lizzie and with Edgar, and they really inspired us to support the organisation and the cause. And we did that because Edgar or Lizzie, I can't remember who, but told us that 1.3 million children under the age of 5 experience poverty in the UK. We felt that was something that we really wanted to help with, and we felt that our wipes and nappies would provide that kind of much needed baby care for families in need, especially during the pandemic. So it was about giving products and making sure that the projects had enough baby care, but also to try to help the Hygiene Bank to create awareness. It was a charity that we weren't aware of, and we wanted to help sort of use our own social channels to create awareness for the great work that's being done. So to date, we've donated around about £21,000 worth of wipes and nappies to the various projects, and we've communicated, about the Hygiene Bank through our own social channels. The other thing that we really wanted to do, and we've just started to do more recently, is to give to the Hygiene Bank by the way of time of our staff. So now that restrictions are starting to lift, we had three team members go to witness to the project there, where they essentially helped clean and organise the space where donations are held, and helped pack up some kits, and donated some additional projects as well. And that's something that as an organisation we do want to continue to do, and as I said, as people are out and about a bit more frequently, to be able to give back, not just to the Hygiene Bank. We've also had some of the team on beaches during lockdown doing socially distanced beach cleanups and what have you, but really just about helping to give back as an organisation.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Chris, can we turn to you, please?
Yeah, thanks, Edgar, and just echo everyone's thanks for being able to join this panel for Hygiene Week. I'd heard of the Hygiene Bank, obviously, but it was really through seeing the partnership between the Hygiene Bank and Boots that we thought, oh, well, how could we get involved as beauty and personal care at Unilever? And, I think we're a purpose-led organisation, very much mirror some of the comments made by Lucy about founders and founders' mindsets. And so we were really desperate to get involved as Unilever. And I think that link between, hygiene poverty as an issue, but also how that makes people feel and the stigma associated to it, and the mental health and well-being issues that come into this, make it an issue that I think, we need to address as multiple bodies, whether that's manufacturer, retailer, charity, all different organizations, to come together to really solve this problem and address it. So being able to do a partnership with Boots is fantastic from our point of view, partly because, yes, there's a very clear, what we'd call sort of do to the programme, where during July and August, for people who purchase 2 of our products, we'll give 1 to the hygiene bank. That's the mechanic that it works by in Boots stores. So there's a do, so there's really giving products, which is incredibly important. But I also think the say of having that campaign, of seeing it in stores, of the way that we'll be able to amplify it, will help to bring awareness to the issue. And I think that in doing these partnerships, having both the do and the say is just so important.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Chris. Well, again, that's a great start to this panel discussion. Again, what I said earlier on, the brand organizations had a real impact for us as the Hygiene Bank. But as a charity, we've also highlighted that, people in poverty pre-pandemic, 1/3 were people living on benefits. But what that also meant that there were 2/3 who are working but are in poverty. And the sort of thing that we talk about is that people who are getting up every day, doing their absolute best to pay the bills, feed their family, heat their home, and buy hygiene products. And I think the next thing we wanted to explore is, what role can companies play in trying to tackle hygiene poverty? And this is not necessarily just your organization, but if you haven't think about who is watching this, what is that message we want to get out in terms of how companies can tackle hygiene poverty? Celia, can we start with yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks, Edgar. So we do quite a lot around period equality. The word poverty is something quite a difficult word to know what to do with at times. So you think about people who are earning the living wage or the real living wage and just about managing. And I always think, having brought up my family on benefits as a single parent, some months you just about get by and other months you don't. And you get a part-time job and you're managing that, one affecting something else, and being very, very careful with your budgets and, shopping. And I know for, personal experience when mums are shopping, if they can't afford the tampons and pads for themselves at the end of the checkout, those are the things that they put back. So trying to do away with some of this stigma around menstruation and working with corporates to do something about, when you get caught short at work, if you're, the worry that you have that you stand up and you've leaked onto the seat, or you actually just can't fully participate at work. So what about if employers could just put a small basket of menstrual products in their washrooms? And I think there's this sort of fear that if you put anything out free, it will be tipped into someone's shopping bag and taken. But actually, in reality, that isn't what happened. People realize that these things are to share, they're gifted, and you take what you need when you need it, and then it will be topped up. So we work with about 60 corporates, I think, across the UK, and that's everybody from Skyscanner to Virgin offices and lots of legal practices and call centres who just put free products in their washrooms and ask their team to take what you need when you need it. It doesn't cost the earth, but actually the difference it can make to a team member knowing that products there if they need them is absolutely phenomenal. We also work with a number of corporates that when we did go into lockdown and people weren't going into the workplaces, as when members of the community could no longer pick products up from the library or from Citizens Advice or from the GP surgery, we sent things out to packs out to homes. So if we could get the address of someone, we could send them 3 to 6 months worth of period products that would just arrive on their doorstep with a little note saying, these are for you to use as you will, and whether they use them for themselves or they shared them with family members. But it was just around that, access to period products is absolutely a right. It's not a privilege. It's something that happens to us whether we like it or not. And actually, how do we make that seamless and with less stigma than it has at the moment? So I guess I would absolutely call on corporates to make sure that their team members had products when they need them, and just think about how, what managing your budget actually means and the things that are going on behind the scenes that you might not be aware of at home.
Thank you, Celia. Chris, can we turn to yourself, please?
Sure. So I think it leads on for a little bit what I was saying before, Edgar, about, essentially with hygiene poverty, I think it can be a very hidden problem. And I think that's where, as I was saying before, destigmatizing and raising awareness is so important, as well as, the kind of immediate and specific actions that Celia was talking about before, making sure products are available in the right places, making things, be available to people as they need. But I think on the awareness side, there's a huge amount to do, because I don't think that, given the scale of the issue, that there's as much awareness about solving it as there should be. And, that's where, big companies in particular can do lots of things to help raise awareness. So whether that's, all the access to communication channels that we have that reach a lot of people, but actually mainly through our brands, where we've got, brands with huge reach, big social media platforms, where we can post and talk about the activity that we're doing. So again, it's that what we're doing on the ground in Boots stores, we're giving products to people, can be connected to then talked about on these communication platforms, so people get the overall picture. And I think that's really important, because at the end of the day, it's making it part of the conversation, and it's making people understand, oh, okay, that's something I hadn't considered or understood before.
Thank you, Chris. And absolutely right. National Hygiene Week is about raising awareness of hygiene poverty. So thank you for supporting us in that. Amanda, can we turn to yourself, please?
Sure, thank you. So it's absolutely about creating awareness for the issue, but I think it's also for companies, and when it comes to the people that work for those organisations, to create an environment or a culture in which people feel able to speak up and come to their line managers with problems that they may be facing outside of the office. And we talked about people who are going out to work just about getting by, but there may be months in which they're short, and that's a worry for them. And obviously, I mean, we're a small company. We're only sort of 24 employees so far, so I think we face slightly different challenges around understanding our workforce and the problems they may be experiencing versus some of the larger organisations like a Unilever, for example. Our sample size is much more limited, and perhaps anonymity in that sense, or the ability to sort of speak up and come with your problems. That's a culture that and an atmosphere that we really want to create, so that if people do have an issue, they find themselves short, they can come and get help and feel comfortable doing that. I think looking after your people is such an important piece of any organisation, and many all organisations have experienced lockdown and virtual working. So I think the other thing that we tried to do for our staff during that sort of lockdown, when they had joined an organisation, in many cases had never met any of their colleagues, because they were recruited literally just before the pandemic, was to create those moments of check-in as a team, outside of the regular Zoom meetings sort of focused on the business, but sort of virtual check-ins and social events to kind of give people that sense of connection and a safe environment where, again, if they were experiencing problems, whether related to poverty or isolation or any number of things that we know the pandemic caused, to kind of create that environment where they felt they could talk up. And I think that's such an important role that companies can play. Goes without saying that when we do get back into the office, the bathrooms are well stocked with personal care products, and clearly for any parents within our organisation, nappies and wipes, as many as they can need, they can fill their boots with, absolutely. But I think it starts with the awareness, but then also removing that stigma and creating an environment where people can talk up about the problems they're experiencing.
Thank you, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy, can we turn to yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Well, lots of great points made by everybody. I'll just pick up on a few of those. So, Edgar, I think you started by talking about how this is an issue that doesn't just affect a very small number of people in society. Not being able to afford to buy enough hygiene products for your family affects lots more people than most people realise. So I do think this is an awareness piece, and it is about taking the stigma away from that. And for big corporates and brands, as Chris said, using the power and reach of your brand is a way that you can do that. And if there's one thing I think we've learned throughout the pandemic, it's that leaning into the national conversation and making your voice heard as a brand that consumers and people recognise nationally is really important. And it's not actually something that Boots has traditionally done, but over the last 18 months, we absolutely have really stepped forward. We have lent in to join that conversation and to be part of it, talking very openly about topics such as the Hygiene Bank, but also about domestic abuse. And we've got a partnership with Hestia, where all of our pharmacies and stores are safe spaces for anybody that needs them. So we've really let in and used our platform to talk about a lot of those issues in a way that we haven't previously done. And you asked about advice for corporates or brands who are listening to this panel, and that would be my number one piece of advice. It would be, don't be afraid to put your head above the parapet and get involved in these conversations and to start them. Sometimes it's difficult to join a conversation because it isn't happening. So, you have to start that. But as a brand, you do have the platforms, as Chris said, to be able to start those conversations. So yes, transparency, being honest with people about issues is really important. Secondly, I think everybody's talked about team members, and we're having lots of conversations with our team members about some of these issues, and we're working very closely with what we call our business resource groups. So they're a cross section of team members from across the organisation, and working particularly closely with the women's BRG on this topic in particular, because actually some of our team members might be affected by it, and we trying to open up that discussion with our own team members. So we're having this discussion with the general public, we're having these conversations openly, but there's no reason to not have them internally as well. So we're absolutely doing that too. And I think several people have said nobody knows what happens in somebody's life. Things can happen for all sorts of reasons. And as you said, Edgar, lots of people who get up and go to work every day, take their children to school every day, come home, they're living with lots of these problems. So yes, we're absolutely opening up that discourse with our own team members as well as the wider public.
That's brilliant. Thank you, everyone. Lots of great points, which we'll pull out after the wrap up of National Hygiene Week. Just going back to the experience of the charity, we had, for example, a donation from a financial institution last year, and we used that to support schools. And some of the feedback we had was just so heartwarming for us as a charity. And some of the examples that we had was a 4-year-old saying that I love my new toothbrush, or an 11-year-old saying it's great to see my mum and dad smile again. Because I think that was the issue for us during the latest lockdown. It felt more difficult. It was over winter. We had people working from home. We had kids at home. There's more food being consumed. I don't know about you, but my kids were always at the fridge during lockdown. You had to heat your home. You're working from home, so more electricity. And some of the other things that we had was, and we had some feedback where there's more toilet paper being used in the home. And some of the comments that we had back was that the products that we provided as a charity was a godsend. It was a lifeline. And another one had commented that by us giving products, they were able to use their last £5 to heat their home. And that just shows that point that they're doing their absolute best, and the things that we are providing, and especially through brands and through organizations, really has a huge impact on the people in need. I think it's been such an amazing conversation so far, and I think we probably touched on some of the points already, but the final question I had was, and Chris started the conversation earlier on, how else can we raise awareness of this hidden issue? You know, you're absolutely right, Chris. It is this hidden issue about hygiene poverty. And, you know, what is the one message that you want to convey to those people watching this panel discussion? What is that key action you want organizations to take to help tackle hygiene poverty? Chris, can we start with yourself?
Thanks, Edgar. I think, you know, the stories you tell just set it up so powerfully, and it is very heartening to hear when you hear stories like that of the difference that can be made. For me, if I was just bring it down to one thing, you know, I really believe that business and brands can be a power for good and should be a power for good. And therefore, for brands, household, everyday brands, particularly toiletries and beauty brands, to be involved, to help raise awareness of the issue. And that can be big brands, small brands, big business, small business. I think it's that case of, as we were saying at the beginning, the partnership of everyone to get involved and make this something that people talk about, and then something that people, for those who are able to donate towards as well, so that we really begin to get the traction around the issue, solving the issue, both via awareness, as we've been saying, but also through making sure that we get the products to where they're needed most. And I think we've all spoken to some really fantastic examples of that today. So that would be the big thing for me, from my point of view, for brands and business to get involved in solving the issue.
Amanda, can we turn to you, please?
Look, I think what struck us was a story that we heard very early on in our relationship with you, which frankly had been unimaginable to me, but probably unimaginable to many people, and that, you know, that sort of hygiene poverty is such a real issue for so many people in the UK. We were told the story around babies basically going without sort of fresh, clean nappies. So parents having to change nappies much less frequently than they would otherwise want to, causing nappy rash. But worse, we heard that many parents were actually literally having to kind of reuse soiled nappies and putting that sort of scooping out the mess and putting the nappy back on the baby for another use. And I think that's kind of what, obviously, as a baby care brand, really struck us, and we sort of simply felt we wanted to help. And to Chris's point, I think any organisation involved in the manufacture of personal care, beauty products, nappies, wipes, creams, toothpaste, toothbrushes, etc. I think it's a very easy thing to do for those organizations to donate to yourselves. It's a very simple system that you operate. It kind of was really no effort for us to get those products to you. And I think the more organizations that can do that, the better. And the more organizations that can then talk about those donations through their own channels, their own platforms, with their own families and friends, because it's not just organizations but also individuals, obviously, that can donate. I think that's absolutely the way forward, and from our side, we'll continue to work with you and through our own channels and partners and influencers to kind of keep the conversation going and keep the message out there, because I think it's really through working together that we can help to address this terrible issue that so many people are facing. So thanks for the opportunity to do that with you.
Thank you, Amanda. Lucy, can we have your final comments?
Yeah, sure. So like Chris, I absolutely believe in the power of this business to have a positive impact on communities where businesses operate. I also believe it's our right to do that. It's our right to be a force for good. And the one thing that I would say to any brands watching are think about your customers. And I am pretty sure that there will be some of your customers who are affected by this issue. And those people that either, so if you're a retailer, come into your stores, or if you are making products, that they're buying your products. And if you don't have any customers that are affected by this issue, then you probably have some team members who are. So I would really think about your customers and really think about your team members and think about those hidden issues that they might be experiencing. Then think about what you as a brand can do to help. And actually, sometimes it's easier than you think. And Edgar, thank you to you and everybody at the Hygiene Bank for making that as easy as possible for us to join forces and for us to get involved. And I'm sure you'd be very happy if people watching wanted to reach out and learn more about the Hygiene Bank after today's session. Talking on your behalf there.
That's absolutely fine. That's brilliant. Thank you for that. And Celia.
Yeah, so as Amanda said, there are so many stories of people not managing, and we know that girls use a pad or a tampon for a day, sometimes 2 days, and using newspaper and torn up t-shirts and all of those things, and that can't be right, can it? I suppose from a brand point of view, it's if everybody switched to Hey Girls, we would eradicate period poverty in the UK overnight, because our buy one give one pledge. And likewise, as Chris said, if you buy brands that are actively buying one, giving one, buying two, donating one, all of those things make a massive difference. So that brands can commit to do that around one or a number of ranges. I'm a big believer in people-powered change. And if you think about the campaigners lobbied to have tampon tax removed, it was a lot of work over many years, and people tirelessly lobbied government to make that happen. Up in Scotland, we now have the free period provision bill, which means that products are freely available in all education establishments and now public spaces. And that was just campaigners and individuals signing things, writing to local MPs and ministers and things. But what I think about the tampon tax was, if you can't afford £1, you can't afford 95p. So just removing the tampon tax didn't actually make any difference to those who were in need, but it was a very big step in the right direction and opened up a conversation which has then progressed. So the UK government is doing great things, but unless you keep the foot on the pedal, they won't continue to make allowances and set budgets aside for menstrual or hygiene poverty. So I think everybody doing their bit, either whether that's a corporate or an individual, is lobby, write to your MP, talk to your store about doing donation points, run events. People do phenomenal events and raise cash or raise products and have fun while they're making a social change. So I think it's just finding a way of doing something that works for you and that that is sustainable, really, something that we can do that makes a long-term sustainable systems change around poverty. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you to our panel, Lucy, Celia, Amanda, and Chris. Thank you for watching. As already been highlighted on this conversation, take that one step, take that step to look up, reach out, and help tackle hygiene poverty. This event is free, so you've heard some wonderful points that have been made as part of this panel discussion. So as it's free, maybe think about donating via our Just Giving page as one further plea. Thank you again. Thank you for watching.